Hello. So for this class will be our first lecture and more likely just the introduction for our 352 to digital 416. So about this one, we mainly will try to learn some basic principles and then some like laws regarding the computer forensics and something like the chains of the custody and then hardware, some networking knowledge. So right here, everything will be related to more like theory and knowledge. Okay. So first, what is the definition? So it's a subset of it. So when we talk about the digital world, sometimes you hear the term computer. Okay, for instance. Okay. And then for this one, we try to use some like science and technology to investigate and establish fact in criminal or civil court of law. Okay. And we mainly is trying to focus on how to extract data from some electronic devices. And nowadays, if you look at some criminals on the court, and most likely maybe a website, like phishing, or nowadays they use the phone. So probably we'll try to investigate, look into maybe they're using how to use the message, some social media, some communication application on your cell phone, or something like when you download, save some data. Okay, even more deeper, maybe we can look at some like erase deleted information data saved on your, like we say, the electronic devices. So it's possible when we say devices. Okay, so we try to like recover. That's why I say, okay, most of people after they did or committed certain activity, maybe they didn't want to keep the record, so we try to recover. Okay, and then based on what we recover, and then or something we figure out, then how can we do the analysis, and then we can present to a computer-based materials to be used as an evidence. So you see all here will be used for evidence. Okay, that's what we know. And when we say for digital forensics, and then it's more like encompassing term. So this one including will be the cell phone routers, and then global positioning system, GPS devices, tablet, or many other devices. So here we see included. So the field or cover the area will be different. But the skills, the techniques requirement for different devices then have different requirement. So we need to consider, okay, the computer forensics and digital forensics can be like interchangeable terms, okay? And how can we apply it to all the domains as a typical IT infrastructure? That's what we need to know. And right here we have 7 domains about the typical IT infrastructure. So including the stuff on the left hand side over here, we have the user. So how can we use? Maybe we do have some working station domain right here, computers. And then we have the LAN domain. So include the server hubs. When we talk about the computer, for instance, we including maybe routers, right? Hubs, switch is possible. And then when we connect to another router and also the firewall, so included the LAN to WAN domain, and then only direct the WAN domain. So go to the internet, and when we connect it to maybe some other applications, web server, some mainframe. So all these can be called a system application domain. Okay, and one more included when the computer, so maybe other user, they will try to access to other devices from remotely, so they're not belongs to the internet or the internet, then we call it the remote access domain. So there were total, all this will be typical IT infrastructure. And here, how can we apply those our scientific knowledge, okay, to retrieve the data? So we need to apply those like scientific method and process. So those like the knowledge relevant to the scientific disciplines, and then the knowledge with the scientific of the field. So for the computer forensics, it begins with the thought, like understanding of the computer hardware. So it's important to keyword we look at the hardware because as what we mentioned before, because for different type of hardware, we have different way or using the we call the scientific methods to retrieve the data. Okay, and within this process, to get first always start with the collecting, and then after we collect all the information data, then we can start our analyzing it. Okay, after we finish the analyze, then we can present. So we can presenting the result. Okay, so what we retrieve. And when we look into details, how actually like collecting doing, so we need to maintain the chain of the custody from the points, also the series of to the moment when it's like shown in the code. So we can like by recording where it was or how it was stored and then like who had access to it. So we try not to don't touch the suspect drive. So we make the for instance copy. So work on the copy. So we never touch the that means that we are not always touch on the original copy. So we always duplicate and then look at it. Okay, because when you are doing investigation or looking at detail, maybe you make some like crash or overwrite original copy. So that's why we need to avoid it. Okay, then we need to create a document trial and then secure the evidence, like find not to let people to modify it. And then after we retrieve it, then we can start to do the analyzing. So we can look at every details and ask what each details means and try to make sure, okay, those evidence is able to support our conclusion comes up. So how can we present it? So also we need to consider, okay, is there any possible and then other alternative conclusion comes up. Okay. When we have more case and then when we look at it, then we can start the analysis, like how to think about for different devices, then why we do have this type of data, or do we have a pattern like this? So is it possible they commit for the crime criminals, or it's just like regular behavior? So we need to consider, okay, presenting is really an expert report. So this one in the advanced level, how can we list on what we test we conducted, and then what's kind of things that you have found, and then what's the conclusion? So as a profile, okay, it can help. Okay, it's pretty sure, let's say for phishing, and then maybe the email content, and then maybe it's sent to the client, and then what kind of data they modify, anything. So test device an expert. So the witness is the disposition or in the actual trial. So this the three main process, including. And then for the field of our digital forensics, including like let's say the processing, assembling data, so it can becomes more relevant to an investigation, and the data that like supports a specific finding or determination. So there's evidence. So here would be the field, and who use. So we know on the process definition or this, and we're going to use maybe some military, okay, some government agency, law firm, criminal like prosecutors, like academia, some data recovery firm, like corporations, insurance companies, and then the individuals. So all these usually they are possible. So as well we say like computer or even digital, for instance. So all these like because it's for the law. Okay. So all these like may be possible. Okay. Then next definitions, what is digital evidence? We talk about this word comes out called evidence. So when the information there has been like processed and assembled so that it is relevant to an investigation and supports a specific finding or determination. That's called evidence. The raw information is not in or itself is evidence. Okay. And the data has to be relevant to a case in order to be evidence. So we need to figure out sometimes in the process we say, okay, when we retrieve it, how can we find determine the evidence? And also when we try to like doing analysis and how can we like conclude or like any possible alternative conclusion, that's what we need to do. Okay, so it becomes a digital evidence. Okay, for those evidence, we have different types, including like real evidence, like documentary or like testimonial, and then demonstrative. So all these we get possible. And when we start our digital or like computer process, and then of course we have some challenge, okay, difficulty. When we try to doing analysis, we need to collect them. Of course, it includes large amount of all the volume of data. Okay, related, unrelated. How can we figure it out? And the system complexity, um, including we say the devices. When we talk about devices, it can be like tablet, cell phone, mobile phone, computer, router, all these things. So the systems they are really different. So it's really complex. Okay. Maybe they have distributed like crime scenes. It's possible in different situations. Okay, so they are maybe from the laptop sending email to cell phone and then cell phone to any other application or like. So it's getting really complicated. And also we have like going the caseloads or limited resources. Sometimes when you figure out maybe some company they are not really cooperate if you're looking for let's say the cellular maybe work on message channel. So it's all the difficulties. Then how can we do the analysis like for those like digital systems? So what type? Maybe we already have a really physical storage media. Say our hard drive, right? Phone, probably sometimes emails, right? Network, transmission, package, resources. So when we talk about network, it of course comes with the internet, including the software. Like sometimes they work on the handle the email or sometimes save to the physical media if possible, some live system, some real-time troubles, real-time cell phone, mobile phone, all this. There can be the digital system. Okay. So far, to be like this, we have just a really general guidelines. Go through, okay, always maintain a chain of the custody and then don't to the suspect drive. Okay, that means that we never work on the original copy and then try to create a document drive. Okay, good for this one is like for the legal step, like law. To check the company. So everything should be well documented. Okay, list and details. And also we need to secure the evidence. That's what we need to do. And then we move on. Then what kind of knowledge will be needed for our analysis? Of course, we need to have an understanding about hardware, different types of softwares, how the network's working, some address, maybe IP address, memory address, all different types of address. So we maybe like involve different type of like different group of people, experts, some unprofessional. Okay, because you in the industry, not everyone can compete, like handle maybe some specific for hardware, and some of mainly on the software. So all this, okay. And what are possible when we talk about the hardware, right? Most of the time, memory. As what we know, sometimes memory can be the real-time the RAM. So we look at the RAM, and then also including the hard drive. That means maybe old data will be the hard drive, and then new including the SSD, solid state drive. So different type. Maybe cell phone, we do have like different. And then for the software, we have the operating system, what type of OS, Windows, Linux, the Mac OS, Macintosh. Okay, maybe nowadays we have the cell phone, including Android, iOS. Yeah, so we have different variation. And overall, of course, when we're looking for data information, of course, we will include the like files and some of the file systems. So the files can be any documents, spreadsheet, pictures, video, even a program can include as a file. And then for the file system, can be a physical like journaling or the logical. Okay, so we have two types of files. And for the networking, and we talk about mention the addressing, so maybe really physical port, which port using my address. So those my address can represent, okay, those hardware. And are they measuring with the IP address, maybe IPv4? Okay, maybe nowadays we including the IPv6, and those like port number, okay, and forwarding, and maybe the URL. So we talk about the uniform resource locator, so they can be possible. So in the cybersecurity, we look at it, and then we have the IP config using for the UCL Windows, and so all the information, address, MAC address, subnet mask, all these default gateway, so they can be used. And then we can use thing to check the connectivities, proof okay. Sometimes okay, DDoS checking, or the process is able to harmed, or can be perform attack. Okay, sometimes they okay, the network is not enough, or like the connection is not stable, then how can they perform certain action like this? Trace chat, this one we're looking for the like what the intermediate nodes, like from the package to the destination. So right here are the examples. So we have to upskill the information, and how can we sometimes we do the anti-forensics. So those can be like scrambled by the encryptions, and then they will hide it using some stenographic software, or they will compress it or the proprietary format. So any possible way. And cyber criminals, sometimes they will obscure the information to deter the forensic examination they want to do. Of course, if they are able to do it in this way, then they should be a really professional team and to do it. And those commonly use certain manipulations and storage technique. They can protect their business sensitive information. Okay, so it will increase the difficulty. Okay, or let the data being distributed. So that's how can do. And when we want to do, so actually is a game, is a battle. Okay, if you want to do the forensics, and then for those like very specific who commit cyber criminals, and they will try to perform, so then we call that anti-forensic. Okay, so they may use some techniques to like intentionally like conceal their identities, location, behaviors. So for example, they may like conceal their identity by using some network connection at the library. So you see in the public environment, coffee shop, library, airport, and then they can use some encryptions. When you learn encryption, you protect yourself, right? But also, as an attacker, then also you can like encrypt yourself, and then some make some like anonymous surface to protect themselves. So it's really hard. And right here we so far go through different background, then I will share one is the standard. So this one is the legal precedence set in 1993. Okay, the Supreme Court. Okay, so it's about this. So regarding this, just need to know the details of the admissibility of the expert witnesses, like the testimony during the legal process. Okay, proceed things. Okay, and any scientific evidence present in a trial, they has to have been reviewed and tested by the relevant scientific committee. Okay, so here's a more standard, and there's a definition, but I'm not really asking. So you just need to know it exists. Okay, so they have empirical testing, peer review, and then they have the error rate, and then given certain standards, then they will generally like accept the theory or techniques. So they are all included, like for the standard. Okay. Let's see why we have so many things, like including the laws. So to the digital forensics, like the Federal Privacy Act, and then some Protection Act, and then we include the Communication Assistance of the Law Enforcement Act. So you see it keep going, and then so many, because we need to give them a right. Also, the law like should let express like for the investigation or like using the digital forensics. Okay, and you see we have more, so just like quickly go through all these. I'm not just all the example all the laws, but I don't have to really asking, you don't have to remember okay when they release it, just have some ideas and then keep going right here. And when you see the terms like the communication assistant for the Law Enforcement Act, launched announced on 1994. So we just for those the wiretap law for traditional wire telephony. But of course, right now when we extend to wireless voice, VoIP, so all this way in the electronic communication, when you change, then those like signaling traffic is metadata, then they need to change like including the wireless. Because without the law, then you only can investigate those like physical connection without the wireless. Then you cannot use those information as the evidence. Okay, all this and more about this. The actually maybe the law allows for collecting the foreign intelligence information between the foreign powers and agents. So you say like getting from the overseas like foreign, so using physical and electronic surveillance is possible. And then we have some like child protection and so predicted punishment act. So they require service provider to become aware of storage and transmission child the pornography to report is to the law enforcement. So you see for the company, and then maybe when nowadays social media, that's why they need to filtering screening. And for the wireless communications, so it comes out in 1999. So it's allowed to collection and use empty communication. Okay, so even some non-verbal, non-text communication such as GPS, all this because the GPS devices or cell phone getting popular, they do a function. Then how can we collect the data and use it? Okay. And so we have the primary law under the which are wide varieties internet and communication information content and metadata, so they can like collect it. Okay, so it's under the U.S. Interpreter Act in 2001, and then more maybe some warranty search, and then search, and then fourth amendment. So including all those like warrants search, and then others privacy. So all these we have the guideline, even the federal guideline, maybe FBI computer forensics guideline, secret service, and then regional competence versus laboratory programs of all these things. So far, we quickly go through all those details. So we give the concept and definition. So what's the computer forensics, and then maybe the digital forensics was a keywords definition. So we include the chain of the custodies, and then the process of the like the four processes of the computer forensic, and then what are those types of evidence, and including the hardware, software, network, and then those like domain, different infrastructure domain, and then the laws, we are pretty a lot of laws. So it giving the right to us to investigate. Without the law permission, then you cannot do that. You cannot use it as evidence. Okay. So far we quickly go through the all the details, and later next week I will prepare the videos, go through this, and I will also don't worry about the assignments, or sometimes I will give a quiz, just some like basic ideas. So we go through. I for sure I will announce it earlier and give you time to prepare for it. Okay. Thank you.